Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bottom Line Live. We've got people on Zoom, we've got people on the Facebook Live, and tonight we're going to talk about what to do to prepare for end of year for your company. This is something I get asked about by a lot of business owners, like, okay, so it's December 1st, what should I be doing? And I have talked about this before, so if you feel like you've heard me talk about this before, you are correct. I have talked about this before. But I wanted to talk about it again since we're at the end of the year and it is Thursday and it is time for the Bottom Line Live. So many of you guys own businesses and you're hustling. You're working hard to get your business, making money, do everything you're supposed to do. You get to the end of the year, you know it's about to be, tax time in a few months. And what should you be doing right now to be getting ready? So, of course, the first thing that I'm going to say, is always the first thing, is bookkeeping. If you don't have your books done, if you don't have all your bookkeeping done for 2022, you're not going to have the information that you need to make decisions. If you want to have, if you want to be able to make smart decisions on your taxes, you need to have your numbers. So most people want to save money on taxes. Some people are trying to show profit so they can get investors or loans. There's different things that you can do, but most business owners are trying to save money on taxes, to pay less taxes. How do you do that? You do tax planning. How do you do tax planning? Is you have to have numbers. So if you don't have your bookkeeping done for 2022, now is the time to run, because you want to be able to do your tax planning. You still have a little bit of time to be able to make some smart decisions to save money on taxes. So let's say that you find out that you actually have a lot of profit. What are you going to do? Because you're going to end up paying a lot of taxes if you have a lot of profit, which is a happy problem, of course, but still you have to make some decisions of what can you buy that's going to be tax deductible. What can you, invest in to grow your company that's going to be tax deductible that will save you money on taxes? Is it time to hire someone else? Do you need a new vehicle or equipment for your company? Do you need, inventory? And you need to work with your CPA so that you know how each of those things is allocated on your taxes. Now, the next thing to know of why you need your bookkeeping done is for 1099s. 1099s is something I talk about all the time. Why should you care about 1099s? I know they're just like an annoying thing, but as someone reminded me this week, the IRS did just hire something, what was it, 78,000 new IRS auditors. So all of these things that maybe they haven't had the time to look into more, maybe they have the time now. So the IRS has, that I know of, never imposed penalties on companies for not filing 1099s, but they can, in their policies, it says that they can impose late fees if you file it late. And if you don't file a 1099 at all, they actually can hold you liable for that vendor's self-employment taxes. Now, let's say they do a random audit because now they have 10 million new auditors and they find that you didn't file your 1099s last year. Now they could potentially go back and audit you for years, 7 years, and you might end up owing penalties, fees, and somebody else's taxes on the taxes on all that you've paid out for all of those years. So while it is true, and I know I get told this, well, the IRS has never imposed that penalty. That is true, but that doesn't mean that they can't, because it's in their policies, it's in the laws that they can impose that penalty. So we want to always do what we can to make it so that we are free from any possible liability. Now, we have talked about this before, but I'm going to go over it again. What type of vendors would get a 1099? Because sometimes it's vendors you don't think about. It's not just contractors, like, oh, it's someone I hired to help me in my company, so therefore I'm going to give them a 1099. No, if you're a real estate investor, I was talking about that this just this week with someone. If you're a real estate investor and you are hiring plumbers and construction companies and anything like that to fix your property because you're going to flip it or rent it out, all of those guys are contractors. They all need 1099s unless they are a corporation, in which case they don't. But the way to find that out is to get a W-9. So your company that does marketing for you, your accountant, maybe your bookkeeper. My company is a corporation, but there are a lot of individual bookkeepers who are sole proprietors and they're not corporations. Even if you have anything that you deduct as a business expense on your taxes, on your books, even if it's for your home office, like you have someone do repairs on your home office and you say that it's a business expense, that would need to get 1099. If you are a construction company and you pay for a chiropractor for your employees, that chiropractor would need to be 1099. All medical entities that you pay from your company that you're considering a business expense and not like an owner's draw would need to be 1099, and that's coming up. The best policy on this is that any vendor that you pay, before you give them a payment, whether it's ACH or check, you ask for a W-9 before you send it out, before you send out the payment. Sometimes it can be difficult to get W-9s from people at the end of the year. Sometimes people don't want a 1099, and sometimes you just don't know how to get a hold of them. They moved, whatever. So it's very important to get the W-9s as you pay them so that it's not a pain in the ass at the end of the year or beginning of the year. Now, the 1099s are due January 31st. And for my company, we have 150 companies almost that we're doing bookkeeping for. And each of them, let's say, has an average of 5 to 10 1099s that we need to send out. So we need all of those W-9s and we need all that data within the first couple of weeks of January in order to be able to send it out on time. And that's what you should be thinking with. Like, let's not do taxes and let's not do complicated things last minute, because it's really easy to make mistakes when you do it last minute. So give yourself time to do it, which is the other reason why when I say, that thing that people do when they don't have their books done and they go and hide in their office or closet for 3 days with cups of strong coffee and boxes of receipts and their computer and bank statements and try to get all the numbers of their CPA. Yeah. Let's not have to do that this year. Like, let's be prepared. Also, if you do need tax write-offs, paying for a bookkeeper or a CPA is a tax deductible expense. So if you need it for this year, you need to catch up the year of bookkeeping, pay for it now. Let us get started. We are always first come, first serve. And there are a lot of people coming in right now that want their 2022 bookkeeping caught up so that we can get, so that they don't have stress anymore, so they can get their numbers right. There's a lot of people talking about tax planning this year. And I know we've been sending people to Tax Hive for tax planning. There's also a lot of, your CPA, if you ask them, will do tax planning for you. But in order to do that, again, you have to have your numbers, you have to have your bookkeeping. So let's keep that in mind. Okay, what else do you need for the end of the year? Now is a really good time to look at your company structure. If you're a newer company, or even if you're not, are you an LLC? And are you being taxed as an S corporation or not? If you started your company recently, but you have not elected to be taxed as an S corporation, you could be losing a lot of money. Self-employment, when you're an LLC, you pay taxes just the same way as a self-employed individual. And so you are charged self-employment taxes. When you elect to be taxed as an S corporation, as a business owner, you have to be put on payroll and you have to pay yourself a reasonable salary. But the rest of the money that you send yourself as an owner's draw or distribution is not taxed at the self-employment or payroll tax, and you're only paying income tax on it. So that's something that's very important. If you haven't done it, you can do a late filing election for 2022. So that's something to look at. Are you at a range where you're making over 100,000 in revenue, over 50,000 in profit, now is the time to look at that. Okay, moving on to payroll. If you are a business owner and you don't have payroll set up, as an S corporation, you don't have payroll set up, or you do your payroll once a year with your CPA, now is the time to sit down with your CPA, part of tax planning, and work out what your salary should be for this year. And I strongly urge you to move to a better cash flow level of doing payroll every month. If you pay yourself payroll every month, you won't have to come up with a ton of money for taxes at the end of the year. Payroll taxes end up being, depending on what state you're in, 30 to 35% of the total payroll, because even up to 40%, because you're paying the employer taxes and the employee taxes. So let's say your CPA says, great, let's do a payroll of 100,000 this year. Let's say 100,000 to make it a nice round number. And it's money, and he's going to show it in your books as payroll, but you already transferred yourself that money. So now what's going to happen is you're going to end up having to pay 30 to 40,000 of taxes on that money. And hopefully you have it set aside. If you don't, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable to figure that out. But if you had split that up every month, then it wouldn't be as painful. It would just be, a couple of $1,000s a month instead of 30 to 40,000, a few $1,000s a month. So that's the next thing to think about. So we're talking about bookkeeping, business structure, payroll, 1099s, and tax planning. Those are your top things to pay attention to that you really need for end of the year planning. And if you need help on any of these things, I know payroll can be very complicated. I really try to, in my business, to keep things as simple as possible, but payroll can get very complicated. So if you need any help, whether you need to run a manual payroll so that your payroll is on time, or whether you need to set up a payroll for the new year, reach out. We can do that for you. If you need a consultation, if you're not sure what you need to do next, reach out. I can help you with all of that. You can find me, pretty much anywhere. You can go to my website, solvencynow.com. You can email me, maya@solvencynow.com. You can comment on this Facebook Live. You can send me a message. Let me see if I have any questions before I keep talking. Let me check out my Zoom. Do I have any questions on Zoom? Nope, everybody has got it. Good. So we're on LinkedIn under Solvency Now Bookkeeping and under Maya Weinreb. We're on TikTok under Solvency Now Bookkeeping. I just did a bunch of cool TikTok videos that are going to get posted in a minute, so check it out. Follow us, like us, subscribe, all that stuff. And we send these out on, we post these on YouTube as well, all of my webinars. So I hope that was helpful to you guys, short and sweet for the end of the year. That's what you should be thinking with. If you need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help. I have a purpose of helping business owners succeed, and my mission statement for my company is complete and perfect financial records for your peace of mind. All right, thank you all so much, and I'll see you next week, next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern at the Bottom Line Live. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.